What's up, everyone? Welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. You may remember in my last video, I mentioned building a big bore engine for Jet Ski Brothers Jacob. Well, I ordered the parts and they made a delivery attempt on Friday. Unfortunately, I wasn't available to receive them, but they are here and I will have them very soon. Now what we need to do is get a machine set up to bore these cylinders out. If you watched my previous videos, you may have seen many years ago, I bored out cylinders on my old milling machine and it was a bit of a hassle. I've also made some conversions to my lathe, and the last set of cylinders that I bored out on my lathe. However, this isn't going to be for me, so I'm going to be a little bit more fussy about it. And well, I actually have two milling machines. The one that I'm currently using, my old milling machine, doesn't have enough Z-axis travel, so I'd actually have to flip the cylinder over and bore it from both sides, which means a whole lot of setup, a whole lot of extra measuring, and yeah, it's just a real pain in the butt. It would take super long and the finish wouldn't be great. It's also not very rigid. So what I'd like to do is use my new milling machine. I bought this last year, still haven't had time to use it or set it up. The idea is to eventually convert this over to CNC. I've got some parts up on a shelf here and some more over on this shelf as well for doing the conversion. But I don't want to do the conversion before I do this boring job because, well, it's going to take a bunch of time and there's going to be a bunch of testing involved once I get it built. Problem is this is sitting on the floor and I don't really want to use it on the floor. It's about 500 pounds, so I don't want to just lift it up. Even though I've got a cable hoist, I don't really want to lift it up into here with the cable hoist. So the plan was to actually take it apart piece by piece, place it onto the table where it's going to live, and do that piece by piece so that I wasn't lifting any part that's like over 150 pounds or something like that, and build it up in its CNC version on its table. Problem with that is that I want to use it before converting it to CNC, so I would have to take it apart, put it on the table, put it all together, and then use it for one job, then take it apart and convert it to CNC. So I think what I'm going to do is try lifting it onto the table. I do have an electric cable hoist that's rated for around that weight, but I'm not terribly confident that it's going to do the job. So what I think I'm going to do is use a scale and lower down the cable hoist, hook the scale of the truck up, hook the scale and the cable up to my truck so I can put about 500 or 600 pounds of load onto the cable hoist and see if it makes any funny sounds or if it breaks the cable. Then, if it handles that no problem, it will make me feel a little bit better about lifting my milling machine in one piece up onto this table. Hopefully that makes sense. I went through the trouble of shooting that clip yesterday. I say trouble because it took me about 6 attempts to say what I was saying. And then after shooting the clip, I actually did the sensible thing and did a little bit of research. I looked at my cable hoist and it turns out that it can only it's only recommended that it lifts 440 pounds. And I did a little bit more research and found out that my Precision Matthews milling machine, the PM30MV, is actually 520 pounds. So not going to be lifting it all together. I think what I'm going to attempt to do is actually unbolt the column and then split it apart and take it in two pieces. I believe the lower piece is going to be about 200 pounds with the table and the lower platform. So basically the X and Y axis and the main platform that bolts down. I think that makes a whole lot more sense. Hopefully when I put it back together, it is trammed properly, so the head is going perfectly straight up and down. I'll have to check that, but anyway, I'm going to kind of set up to do this, and maybe I'll even film some of it. This bolt I need to take out is 12 millimeters. Guess which one is missing from my set? Fortunately, I do have a 3/8 drive one that was sitting in my truck. Hopefully this doesn't break my 3/8 ratchet. It shouldn't. I'm not great at tying knots. I've got some sort of knot on here, and I'm going to put some pressure up on it and see what happens. I'm not going to try to actually lift the whole thing. Oh, but it is. Interesting. Seems to have no problem lifting the whole thing. I'm still going to separate it. Oh, that was loose. That was really loose. How loose is this one? Okay, this one's tight. Huh, interesting. I don't know if this is a good idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to use a strap to lift at the nose of the mill. That seems much better. So the main lifting is done here, and this strap is just going to be to balance it. Let's see if this is going to work. It does seem like it's going to work. Oh, how do I disconnect the strap? I probably should have watched a video or something before I did this. If I can grab the body of it, I might be able to turn it because I think it's got a threaded fitting on the end. This might be a horrible idea. No, it's turning. There we go, we're free. That worked. Oh wow, it's balanced quite well. Precision Matthews has a pretty good reputation for quality, but I have found 5 things loose already on this mill. The ball joint for the end of the strut rod is only finger tight. I'm now threading it in. I saw a bunch of threads sticking out when I was looking in there. Hopefully it showed up in that phone clip that I took. Maybe they did that for alignment reasons, but if they did it for alignment reasons, they should have put a lock nut on it, because there is a chance that it could walk out. So even with the GoPro, you can quite clearly see now that the hex is threaded up against this surface, and when I filmed the clip with my phone, it wasn't anywhere near that. Are you coming to help, Kush? Are you coming to help? Are you going to be my helper? Hey, what's that? 18 1/4. Am I recording? Oh yeah. 18 1/4. Now, what we need to do is get some nuts and washers on here, tighten it down, and then we can, this is all temporary by the way. I'm gonna have to put some sort of glue or rubber matting so that it doesn't leak. And yeah, I might also use some sort of a dowel setup so that when I tighten it, it doesn't just squish the frames. Although that's probably not a problem. Unfortunately, as suspected, I'm not going to be able to connect the strut rod back to the ball joint without actually taking the Z-axis apart. So that's what I'm going to do now. I should have just done this from the start. I tipped the head sideways and now I'm going to try to support it while I remove the bolts completely, and then I can pull this whole head assembly off. Then I should be able to take these 4 bolts out, which you guys can't see. And then I think I can deal with the strut from there, but I'm not really sure. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. See if we can lower it down without smashing anything. How solid is that? Okay. It is my understanding that once I remove these bolts and the bolts from the top, I should be able to slide this part out. These were tight, I tell you that much. That was definitely tight. I'm going to lock the Z-axis in place so that it can't fall. That way I can loosen everything off without worrying about it falling. I just moved the top cap over, and when I did, it moved the piece that I had aligned here over as well. I'm going to slowly try removing pressure on this and see if the strut rod or the gas strut lifts up on this or if it falls. Oh, okay, yeah, it's trying to go up. Okay, so I've released all the pressure. Kush, what you doing? Now, how do I get this reconnected at the bottom? I'm going to have to loosen the bolts, lift the column again, thread this on at the bottom, then come up here and put it all back together. It ended up taking quite a bit of messing around to get the strut back in place, but I do have it done now. I was shooting a time lapse, but the battery went dead on the camera, so I'm not sure how much actually got filmed. So I ended up getting the lead screw nut and the strut bolted back in place here, and now I just need to install the head. Once the head is installed, it's all reassembled, but I am going to need to do a bunch of checks to make sure that everything's right, because now that I've had it apart, it could be crooked either sideways or front or back. And also I need to make sure that the head is set up at 0 and that it's not tipped off to one side or the other. So far out of balance. I feel like it needs a big warning on it around these bolts. Where's the cat? Okay. Moves quite easily. Does it change direction easily? Alright, that seems to work quite well. I probably should have swept up a little better. I did sweep before I turned the camera on because I don't like running over dirt and debris with these nylon wheels. There we have it, back in the corner. I've seen a few different videos and also posts on forums on the internet about how to remove this protective layer on the ways and on the bed of many different milling machines and lathes. A lot of people say to use some sort of solvent like WD-40 and then a lot of elbow grease, and some say to use a brake cleaner or acetone or something like that. I actually decided to give something a little bit of a try. I sprayed some WD-40 on there and I wiped it, and a little bit of yellow came off on a rag, as you guys will see here. And it wasn't very successful. So I sprayed more on, just misted it all over, and then I let it sit for a while, actually for about a couple of hours. And now check this out. It all comes off really, really easy. I meant to film this clip a couple of days ago. So truth be told, the WD-40 has actually dried off somewhat. It was coming off really easy a few days ago, even more easily than this. and I just let it sit, and so it's actually starting to hard up a little bit. But the trick to removing this stuff, the stuff that came on my mill anyway, spray some WD-40 on it, a pretty liberal amount, and then actually let it sit for a couple of hours, go back, and then just wipe it off with paper towel. That just about does it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. I wasn't actually going to share this footage because I wasn't sure exactly where it fit. It's not part of the CNC milling machine conversion, and it's also not really part of the engine build that I'm doing for Jacob. The engine build series is going to be on my Joel Arsenault YouTube channel, and the CNC milling machine conversion is going to be on this channel. I've already released a few videos building the stand and a few other things. And yeah, the rest of that video series will eventually be on this channel. Hopefully I get to do that throughout this winter along with the engine build. As I said at the first of the video, I did get the parts. I need a different hold down kit for this. The one for my old mill won't work, so I'll have to order a hold down kit before I can actually mount up Jacob's cylinders and get them bored out. Again, the boring, some of it might be on this channel, but most of that video series is going to be on my Joel Arsenault YouTube channel. If you're interested in that, there will be a link in the description. A big thanks to everyone who's supporting me on Patreon. I really do appreciate it. Big thanks to Charles Bennett. I appreciate your donation and all of your support. If you guys are interested, again, link in the description below. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. The log will burn away and it'll still be there.
We'll find we made a new element. Oh, there it goes. There it
goes. It's colored. Oh,
it's
man.
doing exactly what we wanted, Joel.
Oh man, that is so cool.
That was so worth the wait, man.
And I recorded it.